Hi, so I just came out of the presentation of the team that was behind this very fascinating innovation. And I could say this much, the team that they had presenting today was so top-notch that it leaves you with little doubt that what you're going to get out of the end of all of this is really a remarkable product.
It's essentially a, for want of a better term, stagnant technology that we haven't changed, and I think that one thing that I really noticed or picked up from the talk was it never really occurred to me the extent to which that it's actually the filtration that makes it like almost like uncomfortable or like with the difficulty breathing, and so sort of eliminating that paradigm or changing that paradigm I thought was very interesting.
PPE unfortunately has changed very little, but I think all of our staff really understand there's a need for that change. We need PPE that is not only easy to use, but one that's comfortable and one that does not impair our ability to communicate with each other and with our patients.
I think the applications that have been described in your presentations are really useful for a number of applications, including the biodefense applications in terms of the general public using them on a occupational health and safety perspective.
When I first sort of started thinking about this, during the pandemic, I think there was an assumption, at least in my head, that the innovation was going to be in materials or something like that. If you thought about it as like an item of clothing. And again, I think it's very easy to get stuck in like a paradigm of thinking where you're thinking this is like a materials problem, this is like a design problem, as opposed to what if the paradigm is incorrect.
The benefit is the portability and the flexibility of the system. It could be adapted to a number of situations, and having that as an option for it's easy to pack, easy to carry, lightweight. I think all those really make useful applications possible for a variety of scenarios.
Protecting our workforce in healthcare is really critical. We need to ensure their safety and make sure that they're comfortable working in that environment. Our staff each day are working very closely with our patients, many of whom may be contagious, and having effective, safe, and easy to use personal protective equipment is really critical.
I think actually it's also interesting, I think, in terms of how some of the thinking that I've seen from you guys has evolved in terms of starting off with the kind of the far UVC idea of devices, and I think there's still definitely potential for near field protection using far UVC. But again, taking that different paradigm of where everyone else is thinking about this technology from a far like a whole room perspective, as opposed to a near field. And I think that those kind of change the paradigm type ideas are very interesting.
I believe looking at the flow rates is very useful, and looking at the particle distributions and those types of evaluations, and the physical characteristics of the materials from the reflectivity, of course, was very impressive. But thinking about materials in terms of wear over time might be something, microscopy, and looking at the structure of the materials as they change versus the being exposed to sunlight and those high temperature things like that would be useful as well.
Well, I think there's two things that occurred due to the pandemic. One is, with our widespread use of PPE, it became very clear that PPE at times, as we use it today, can be uncomfortable, and especially over the course of the shift, it could really become burdensome. But I think the other thing is that we're going to use PPE even more in the future. In the pandemic, we learned that PPE can be very effective in preventing our staff from getting sick. We need to use it more in the future, and so therefore we have a real need for PPE that's not going to prevent our staff from communicating, and PPE that they're going to be able to wear comfortably all day long.
A great potential solution for the future. As your several presentations that you showed, the fit of masks is uncomfortable. People don't want to wear them, so I think that's a really good idea to eliminate that. Hopefully for healthcare workers, and they can be freed up from that restriction with UVC.
We need to protect our staff against those potential pathogens, but also keep them from getting infected themselves.